Hey everyone, it's Brenda with Stampin' Up. Thank you for stopping by my channel today. This is my second video in my Inspired by Amy video series. If you haven't seen my first video, which aired on Monday, I will put the link below where you can see that video and learn more about my friend Amy, who was a heart transplant recipient. She passed away a month ago, and so I decided to create this video series in her memory to keep her passions for card making alive, as well as her dedication to organ donation and pet adoption. So check out the link below if you haven't seen that video. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking either a card that Amy sent me over the years or a technique that she used in her own videos here on YouTube, and use that inspiration to make new cards with current products. So let's get started today. One thing I do want to mention before I do get started, I almost forgot. There is a fundraiser that was created by Amy's niece, and it is, I will put the link below for this fundraiser. We are having a little, I don't know what you want to call it. It's we have a goal of raising $1,000, started yesterday and today, and we have a donor that is matching dollar for dollar all of the donations that were received yesterday and today up to $1,000. So our goal is to try to get $1,000. This video was made last week, so at this recording, I can't tell you what was raised yesterday, but I will try to remember to go on and check and see how much money was donated yesterday and put that below so that you can read. But I hope that if we've reached our $1,000 already, that you won't hesitate to donate. This fundraiser is for Donate Life America, which helps increase donation, organ donation. So let's get started. I'm going to show you this first card that Amy sent me years ago when she moved to North Carolina. It is very, very pretty. She used the embossing folder, and she's got the die cut edges, the DSP, and all this little detail here. This is Petal Pink, which we still have current. And then in the inside, she just wrote a note for me. And it's very pretty. So obviously, none of these products are current. So I had to, except for the cardstock, of course. So I had to come up with my own completely different products to use. So this is her card, and this is the one that I came up with that we're going to be making today. So you can see that it is definitely very much like Amy's card, but I did use current products here. So we have Pool Party. I did make these little labels for my Inspired by Amy cards. So I've got Pool Party for the color. I used Inked Botanicals for the DSP, which is this one right here. All right, and that has this coral on the back. All right, and I used, let me see here. Okay, we have the embossing folder, which is one of the basic 3D embossing folders. If you've seen my previous videos, you know this is one of my favorites. Really like that for the inside here. And for the borders, I used the basic border dies, and I took this one right here. All right. So this, when you put this one in, you need to make sure that you keep it the same on each side, and hopefully I did, because sometimes I say things like that and then I didn't do it. I did. One is lines, stitched lines, and the other one is dots. So just make sure that when you're running this through, that you get both the outer which one you're going to want. You don't want to have one stitched and one dots, and then that's not going to look good. So anyway, that's just a little thing to keep in mind. All right, so then I used Timeless Arrangements bundle. Okay, so I took the dies. All right, we have all these little dies to cut sentiments. I use this larger rectangle here, and then I use these two sprig dies, which these line up right behind here. All right, and so these are the two I used for these sprigs. And then I used the Easter Bunny set for the butterfly, and I stamped and colored him and cut him out, put them on there, okay? And then on the inside, I have another sentiment from the same stamp set. I used color and contour for these stamps here, and then I used the Seaside Bay Pearl to just put in a little bit on the inside here. So this is what we're going to be making today. And let me show you exactly what you need here. All right. So I'm just going to put this aside. So we need Pool Party cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded in the middle for our card base. We need another piece of Pool Party for the center that comes down here, 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to put this way up here. I hope I have room. The DSP, which will go on top of this, 4 by 5 1/4. And a piece of white that's 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside. For the border, we need a piece of white that is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And then we're going to need a white scrap for stamping and the sentiment cutout, which is this. All right, and then we need 2 little scraps. These are like the perfect size for the 2 sprigs here. So we need 2 by 3 1/4 of Petal Pink, and then we need soft Seafoam, 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. All right, those are our measurements. All right, let's get started. I have already taken the liberty of cutting these out. So the pink, I used this one, and the soft Seafoam, I used this one. So I have these cut out right here. All right. I also already cut out this, and I have it stamped, but we will stamp that anyway. And so we are going to set these 2, these 3 aside. And we are going to get this border die. So like I said, make sure that you either have the stitching or the dots lined up on the outside so that they're both the same. And all I did was I took this and I lined it up right along the edge, and make sure that this is centered so that you have the same amount of space on the top and the bottom like that. All right. So now just make sure that when you go to do the other side, you leave this side up and do the same on this side. All right. And so when you run that through, then you're going to get this. All right. So we have that done. Then we're going to take the 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to run this through. Line that up on our line here. All right. now the 3D, if you haven't figured out how to use these 3D embossing folders, I do have a video that may help you. I will put the link below so that you can watch that if needed. So I'm going to run that through real quick. All right. Let's take that out and see how gorgeous that is. All right, got that done. So this is going to line up in the middle of this. All right, and we're going to glue that down. And then, of course, that is going to be glued on the DSP on top of here. And then, of course, that is going to be glued onto our base like so. All right. So let me just do that. I gotta get out my stick of glue. Wait a minute. So, like I've said before, I am going to use my tear and tape for the embossed piece. And the reason I do this is because sometimes, and you put too much, if you put too much glue on the back of this and press it down to get it to stick, sometimes you'll press that embossed part right out, and sometimes it flattens out. So I like to use the tear and tape. And I use this little trick here that maybe you have seen already, that you just use an edge of a ruler and pull up so that it stays very flat, a flat edge, so that it's nice and clean. All right, it's very simple. All right, so there's that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these off. Now, the trick to doing this is just to pull up a tiny little bit all the way around on each side. All right. And then when you line this up, and I'm sorry that this, with the white sheet, it's harder to see what I'm doing. So let's put this here. So when you come in and line this up, it's not going to be so sticky that if you don't have it straight, you can't change it. So once you do this, hold it where you want it and just take these little tabs and just pull them and press down, and it will stay right where you have it. And the tear and tape does not affect the embossing. So there we go. Now I do have a little tiny bit of white showing, but that's okay. If you want to trim that off, if it doesn't quite match up, that you can do that. That's no problem. I do that all the time, but I'm not going to do it today because I'm not going to take the time to do it. And then, of course, this is going to be lined up, and you want to be sure that you get that centered, so the same amount of space on each side here. You don't have to put glue clear to the edge here if you don't want to. It can stick out just a little bit, and that would be just fine. So let me put this. My stick is stick. Oh, that is not good. I don't want that much glue there. All right. I'm just going to scoop some of that off with one of these. You do not want that much glue. All right. So then I'm just going to line this up as well as I can. Just like that. All right. And then, of course, I'll put the glue on this and put that on the card front. All right. Make sure it opens the right way before you put your front on. You know how that goes sometimes. You get it all done and you realize you've glued it on the wrong side. All right, so here's our card front. All right. Now, you can take your white and stamp your sentiment. And I'm going to bring in my Tuxedo Black Memento ink and my stamp, You Make Me Smile. All right. And like I said, you just cut that out with the little rectangle here and run that through your die cut machine. And you will have the little sentiment. What I also did is I took the dark Pool Party marker and I went around the edge. If you can see that, you can kind of see the color a little bit. It's just very, very faint, just to give it a little more detail. And then, of course, take your butterfly and take the butterfly stamp and stamp that on here too. I already did that, and I already have him colored and fussy cutted, and he's just a tiny little thing right here. All right, I'm going to put him aside so I don't lose him. Okay, so now what we're going to do is maybe capping my ink might be good. All right, I'm going to take my sentiment here and my two little cutouts that we have run through. All right, so if you've noticed on this, I do not have all of these little pieces on here. I cut those off. All right, so what I did is I took my scissors, which I did not leave out. Let me just grab another pair. And I just cut these off. And to be over here, you probably don't need to cut the edge off because it's going to be over here, all right? And then the same thing with this. I cut these off. And then this one as well. All right, and then I staggered them just a little bit, about like that. All right, and so what I did is I glued these together. I'm just going to bring that little Post-it note in with this extra glue and just put that right on there. Of course, now I'm going to have it on my fingers, and you know what I think about sticky glue. It will drive me nuts. But that's just the way it is. And I'm going to put a little bit there too. And yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Now I've got sticky glue all over my fingers. All right, so that's all we're going to do. And then we're going to line this up here. So this does need to be cut off because we don't want it to be too long. And we're just going to line that up. And I did bring it down just a little bit as well. And it doesn't matter exactly where you put it. Just wherever you think looks good. All right. And let me just sit down a second so I can see what I'm doing. I want to put a little bit more glue on this to be sure it's stuck down well. And this is just coming out really, really thick today. It's probably because it's a new bottle. New bottles tend to do that. So I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet so that I can put this that way and press down without getting more on my fingers. There we go. All right, so this is just like this, all right? And then I am going to take my little butterfly and I'm going to put a tiny little one of these mini dimensionals on here. My phone will focus here. And if I had my Take Your Pick tool, I would use it, but I don't have my new one yet. It is on its way, supposedly, along with my order from all the paper that is on sale. I ended up ordering a lot of the paper. I didn't order it all, but very, very close to all of it. There's a couple that I did not really have an interest in, mainly because I don't have anybody to really make a card with it, like the fishing set. I don't have anybody to make cards with that paper. So I did order some that I didn't really care for, but I figured with it on sale, maybe I will like it. You know, it's worth it just to check it out. It's good all year, so I figured what the heck. So I'm going to put my little butterfly on right up here like that. All right, and there he is. Now I did pop this out with dimensionals, so I'm going to get my bigger ones here and put those on the back. And we do have some extra height here with these little sprigs, so I'm not putting it on there. I'm putting it underneath, or below it, I should say. And once we get these off, we can put it right on our card front. And just put it so that it's just off-center just a little bit. Like so. All right. And I just left these to be, you know, hanging there. All right. So now on the inside, what I did is I took, oh, this glue is driving me insane. I do this all the time. Oh my gosh, I have to be more careful. Okay, so the inside, what I did is I put 2 different stamps. Thanks for always being there. And I have these lined up on this block. And I like to line these up separately. So I do one stamp and then I put the other one on top, and then I always check it and stamp it to be sure that it's straight. And I've already done that. So I am going to go ahead and stamp that on here with my tuxedo black. All right. Hold that down just a second. All right. And then I took, not Easter Bunny, took the Color and Contour. All right, I just took these. This turned out really cute. I didn't know how it would work, but I really like how it turned out. So I took this stamp here, and let me get a block. All right, and I took Pool Party and Calypso Coral. Let me get them real quick. All right, and what I did is I stamped off a little bit. Actually, I don't think I stamped off with Pool Party, but Calypso Coral, I may not have stamped off with this either, because this is an old pad. You can see it's the old style, so it's probably not real juicy. But what I'm going to do is I am going to check it on scrap paper, and that is not that dark, so I'm not going to stamp off. And I just stamped right in the corner, just like that. All right. Then, of course, we need our little scrubby thing here. Get that ink off. We don't get it in our Pool Party. All right. So we've got Pool Party here. This is a newer pad, so I'm going to check that too. Oh, that's not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. All right. And then I am going to take Daffodil Delight. And this one's also an old pad, so I am not going to stamp off. And I am going to take this pearl from Seaside Bay, just this little pearl right here. There he is. And I got my little bitty block here. I'm going to put that on there, and I am going to just stamp right in the middle. Oh, I got that off just a little bit. That's okay. Did the little centers like that, okay? And then all we have to do is glue this on. And I'm going to bring that silicone craft sheet back in. And I'm trying to put a light amount of glue. Well, if it would just come out without having to shake. All right. All right. And then I just need my card here. Right like that. And there we go. That is our card today, inspired by Amy with her card here. So I hope you like this card, and I hope you will tune in for future videos of using Amy's inspiration to make new cards. I hope you like this card, and like I said, please check out the links below for organ donation information, the fundraiser. Don't forget your matches will, your donors donations will be matched. And then also I have a link for Congenital Heart Defects if you want to learn more about that. And also her pet adoption. She volunteered at a animal rescue up in North Carolina called Bella Vita, and I have that link below as well if you want to check that out. So anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you will tune in to more Inspired by Amy videos. By the way, this is Amy, and this is a picture of her holding a picture of her heart donor, Diana, who she always mentioned, and was very grateful that her mother had donated her organs, which saved Amy's life at age 24. So anyway, thank you very much, and have a great day, and God bless. Bye-bye.